This Texas con man's recently released Dead Man Switch just proved that LBJ was responsible for the assassination of JFK. The audio confession that you're about to hear came from the family archives of Billy Sol Estes through his grandson. This 1971 confession that just came to light is shocking, but it confirms what many people have been saying for many years. But before we get to the recording, let's pull out the corkboard and pushpins and introduce you to the key players. The year is 1960. JFK had just been elected president, and he selected Lyndon B. Johnson to be his vice president. But JFK didn't pick LBJ because he liked him. This 1960 New York Times article even describes the two as bitter rivals. But Kennedy felt that he needed to select LBJ for his VP to solidify his ticket because of the influence that LBJ had over Texas. And one of the members of Johnson's inner circle that benefited greatly from Johnson's influence was Billy Sol Estes, a flamboyant swindler that made a fortune off of manipulating cotton allotments. But in 1960, a gentleman by the name of Henry Marshall was asked to investigate the dealings of Sol Estes. And over the course of the next 2 years, Marshall discovered that Sol Estes had acquired 3,200 acres of cotton allotment land. Next, we meet another member of LBJ's inner circle, Clifton Carter, who had been working with Johnson since 1937 as a political advisor, and he eventually became the head of the DNC. According to Billy Sol Estes, in 1961, he met with LBJ and Carter to discuss what to do about Henry Marshall. They hatched a plan to use LBJ's influence to get Marshall off of the investigation by promoting him from a state to a federal position, effectively transferring him from Texas to D.C. and out of their hair. But Marshall refused the offer because he viewed it as a bribe to keep his mouth quiet about the cotton allotment scam. A short while later, on June 3, 1961, Marshall was found dead on his family farm next to his pickup truck. They discovered that he had been shot 5 times by a .22 caliber bolt-action wireless hole puncher. Soon after the county sheriff arrived, he ruled that Marshall had taken his own life. No pictures, blood samples, or fingerprints were taken, and the truck was actually washed and waxed the very next day. Now fast forward to 1983, and Billy Sol Estes just gets out of prison. 3 months later, he confesses to a grand jury that Lyndon B. Johnson ordered Marshall to be killed because he was afraid that he would blow the whistle on Johnson's involvement in the cotton allotment scheme. And that LBJ, Estes, and Carter met on January 7, 1961 to talk about what they were going to do about Marshall since he refused the promotion. A meeting where LBJ is rumored to have said, "Well, it looks like we're just going to have to get rid of him." Also in attendance at that meeting was Mac Wallace, who Estes claims was the hitman that took out Marshall. Then, in 1962, LBJ came under even more scrutiny for his involvement in the cotton allotment scheme. Involvement that led most people to believe that he was either going to lose the vice presidency or go to prison. But Johnson came up with a third option, and that third option is what you're about to hear in this recording.
It's sure good to see you. How's life treating you today?
Well, Saul, it's been a pretty touch-and-go situation. Linda and I have had quite a few unpleasant words here lately over the deal with that he hired Mike Wallace to assassinate the president. It's been hectic in every way, but we've lived through it this far, and I guess we'll continue to do so. Lyndon should have never issued that order to Mike. But we've had our differences, and I'm a true blue to Lyndon, as I've always been, and tried to carry out every order that he'd ever given me. But this is one I'll probably never be able to forget. And the times that we've had in Texas, and the embarrassment that Lyndon had gotten from Kennedy, I guess there wasn't anything else to do but what he did.
Well, you know, Lyndon could have really hit me if he would.
Well, Lyndon's the kind of person that doesn't want to help anyone. He's all for Lyndon, and that's the way he's pretty much always been.
Well, they had me backed up on that Henry Marshall killing, and they just kind of blackmailed me to keep my mouth shut. And if I hadn't had a bunch of tapes that I'd played after he got killed, because 17 got killed, in this situation very mysteriously.
Fast forward again to the 80s, and Celestis claims that Mac Wallace solicited the help of Jack Ruby to assassinate the president, and that through his connections, Ruby recruited Lee Harvey Oswald, who of course was later silenced by Jack Ruby. So wild story. Full credit goes to Alex Jones's channel for getting this out to the public. Go watch it for yourself and tell me what you think.